You're not giving yourself time. You're doing more for others, less for yourself.
Hi and welcome to Meet the Coach podcast. I'm your host, Carla, Egan, and today our guest is Libby Finlayson, a master mindset coach specialising in relationships and health. Now, as a coach, Libby works with individuals and relationships and couples that are sick of being stuck in the past and can't move forward. They're sick of the trauma and they're sick of unhealthy habits and relationships. Libby is a certified life and health coach and holds qualifications in neuro-linguistic programming, in hypnotherapy, and is a certified youth mentor. Libby joins us from Busselton in WA. Welcome to our Meet the Coach podcast, Libby.
Hi, Carla. Nice to see you, and it's great to be here.
Now, today we're exploring the theme of how our mindset impacts our health and relationships. So firstly, I'd love to start by asking you, what does it really mean for someone to change their mindset and their perception or their perspective, and how this impacts their day-to-day life?
The thing is, when you're stuck in your mindset, it's really hard for you to move forward in the direction you want to go. And so that impacts your health and your relationships. If you're stuck in an unhealthy mindset, generally you'll find that your health isn't as good as it should be. Generally, you're not eating as well, you're not exercising as like you should do, you're not giving yourself time, you're doing more for others, less for yourself, you're always a bit upset and resentful. And so if you're stuck in those patterns, it's really hard for you to move forward in a positive way. And that also impacts your relationships. And the way it does that is if you find that you're unhealthy, you'll generally find you have an unhealthy relationship in some aspect as well, because you don't feel good about yourself. And it's really hard to work with someone else in a relationship and have a really loving, fun, great relationship if you don't feel good about yourself. And so it's almost like a loop that goes around. And when you've got this negative mindset that is sort of stuck because of things that have happened to you, and you can't get out of it, it can really affect every other area of your life.
It's interesting that you point that out, because when you're focusing on your own health, it's very self-centered approach, and you don't think that it affects anyone else. So in your experience, how does our personal health affect the dynamics of our relationships that we have with others?
It's huge. It really is. So there's a new, what's the word for it? New theme, grand thing is self-love. It's like a big thing now is self-love. And I think that's actually fantastic, because especially women more than men, because they're mothering and they're nurturing in that way, they stop giving to themselves and they start just giving to everybody else. And they also find it difficult to receive. And so when you've got a partner that wants to give to you and you reject that and don't want to receive or feel bad about receiving, it impacts not only your relationship with them, but your own mental health, because you always feel like you're giving, and then the resentment builds up about the giving. So, when you change your mindset and you change your ways, so you put yourself first, you actually find that when you put yourself first and look after yourself better, you are a better person for everybody else, and it's easier to look after everybody else. And I know that firsthand. So when I went through my divorce, I decided I had to look after myself really well so that I could look after my family. Now, if I'd gone down the other road, I wouldn't have been able to look after my family as well.
It reminds me of the analogy of putting your oxygen mask on first on the plane, and then helping others that might need assistance, elderly and kids. So, well spotted. In terms of when couples engage, because you're a relationship coach and you deal with individuals, but you also deal with couples, right? When couples engage your services, what's a reoccurring thing that they often engage your services for, what they need from you? Can you share a little bit about that for people that might be listening in and might be relating to this topic that we're talking about?
Mainly, the funny thing is they come in because they're not getting on. But what comes out of that is basically built up resentment is the biggest thing. There's always issues around sex. There's always issues around a power struggle between who's doing what. And there's always issues around parenting, and the parenting normally comes from not so much the parenting of the children, but for women, we tend to parent our partners, even if we don't want to. And so our partners become less involved in making decisions or doing things for us because they're waiting to be told. Now, this is no one's fault, but what it is a power struggle between two people that were once a union who are now just like a business, and they're having an argument, and the argument doesn't stop because they have built up resentment. So they come in here, they get my services because they're not getting along, is generally what they say. But it all comes down to how much they look after themselves, how much resentment is there, what they need to let go of, and what they need to do together to move forward without shaming and blaming each other. So once they take away the shame and blame and they move forward together, then they start making progress.
Libby, you're based in Bushelton in WA. Do your services are online as well as face-to-face? Tell us a little bit more about how people can get in contact with you.
Yes, Carla, my services are online and face-to-face. I actually have a lot of people in the country, a lot of farmers. I was a farmer, so I think I attract those people as well. So I do have a lot of online clients, and with the online clients, I can do a session with them separately. So I have couples where I'll talk to him one day and her another day, and then they do a session together, etc. So you can do it that way. If you are local, you are welcome to come to me, come to my office here and see me. If not, we can do it all online, and it's easy. You just get in touch with me through my website or through Instagram, Facebook, or my phone number's on there, and people can message me, and then we can work out that we're a good suit for each other, and then go ahead from there.
I like that you support the regional farmers, because sometimes they don't always get access to some of these services, but you've got first-hand knowledge because your background was in the outback on a farm as well. So that's terrific. Thank you for sharing. My final question to you, and I'm curious, what does it mean being part of the coaching directory? What does it mean for you and for your business, Libby?
Well, being part of the coaching directory, I when I saw it online, I just came across it somewhere, and I just thought, what a great idea, especially because I do support a lot of rural people, and for them to find a coach, a lot of the time they don't think to look outside sort of their area or local state. And so when I saw the coaching directory, I decided it was a really good idea, because that way I'm able to support a lot more people all over Australia. And also those people, as you said, you match people with coaches. It's finding that fit, someone that understands you, someone that gets you. So some of my clients, they're into horses, or they're from the country. But I also have a few clients that are local townies and that have nothing to do with a rural life. But we get each other, and I understand where they're coming from, understand their perspective. So it's for me, being in a big directory, it just gives people more access, more choice, and it gives me more access and more choice as well. So I think it's fabulous.
Well, we're delighted to have you on our directory, Libby. It's always a pleasure. And look, that brings us to the end of our Meet the Coach interview. Before we wrap up, Libby, I want to thank you for sharing your insights. Your wisdom around this serves a bit of a reminder that the power of self-love does start with us, and it does start within, doing that work, and that the right mindset and the tools can transform your relationship and your personal health. They are interconnected. Most people think of them as separate. So I think you're one of the very few coaches that has made that connection and that focuses on that area. So thank you.
No worries, Carla. Thank you for having me.
And for those of you that are eager to dive into the realms of coaching and personal development, please subscribe to our newsletter. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please rate and review us, and be sure to catch us in our next episode. This is Carla Egan, your host from the Coaching Directory, where we connect you to your ideal coach.